Good afternoon, committee members, and welcome to the special meeting today. I will hand right over to our chair,
Great.
Chair Charlie Harrington.
Thank you, Tony. Christina, would you mind kicking off roll call, please?
No, I'll go ahead and do roll call. Chair Harrington,
Present.
Committee Member Markman,
Present.
Committee Member Sherm,
Present.
Committee Member Stacy,
Present.
Committee Member Bergson, absent, and that's it.
Great. I understand Committee Member Bergson is planning to dial in. I don't know if she's done so.
Let me check.
And she would comment as a member of the public. Great. We'll move on to item number 2, approving the minutes of the June 12th, 2025 meeting. I'd like to see if there's any motions to approve.
Motion.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. With that, I'll move to item number 3, which is my comments. Happy first day of school to those who celebrate. Thank you for coming to this special meeting. They're all special meetings in my book, but this is a special meeting. One thing it'd be nice to do, Tony, is remind us when the next 2 meetings are. And I would just like to say thank you so much for the calendar invites. I think there's a reason you've got a lot of people here. I think calendar invites have been great, but we can do that maybe during your report or at some point to discuss. Just remind us when the next few are. Let's see. I have to leave at 5:30, so hopefully we can have an efficient meeting. But if not, Committee Member Markman, would you step in and chair the remainder of the meeting?
Yes.
Great. We have the agenda in front of us. It was shared in advance. There are 2 old business items that I'd like to make a modification to the agenda for. We'd like to discuss ahead of item 5, 2 items. One is a quick report on the coastal cleanup effort. This has been something we've discussed before, but we wanted to have a presentation about that, as well as right after that, we will do a discussion of the I can't remember the official name, but the art, the painted bins project in terms of how that's going. So I'd love to, if you could pencil those in before item 5 under old business. We'll start with the coastal cleanup and then we'll do the painted bins. And that's it. Any comments from the committee on these remarks? Are there any comments from the room? Okay, Christina, anyone on Zoom want to comment on that?
Nobody on Zoom is willing to comment.
Okay, fantastic. Love to turn it to item number 4, the report from Public Works Director Tony Boyd.
Thank you, Chair. Our maintenance has been going fairly well. We are in the middle of a hiring process and actually are coming to the end of it for a new crew member in our maintenance crew. And hopefully within a month, we will be back to being fully staffed. We have a fire fuel reduction project planned that will be taking place in the next month or 2. And as far as other maintenance goes, there's a new manganese filter in place at the Tom Price Park well. Other news is that we have an RFP underway for a city arborist. The city arborist is a contracted arborist that we work with for reports and guidance with anything to do with city trees on city and private property. And that in the next month or 2 will hopefully be complete. Lanes, there'll be more on lanes to come, but Park Lane construction is complete. And in other projects, the tennis courts have been resurfaced. I think I mentioned that they were about to be at the last meeting. And so that's complete. And sunscreen dispensers that were discussed at least 3 meetings ago, I think, have arrived and will hopefully be installed by next week. And yeah, those will be in place in the restrooms, 1 in each restroom. And that's about it. I was going to have a coastal cleanup item, but Adam Gabzer is here for that. But that's it from me.
Fantastic. Any comments from the committee? Okay, I'd like to open it up to the room. And then is anyone online who'd like to comment from the public?
No online comments.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Fantastic. Let's move on to coastal cleanup.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Gabson, Jason.
Could you use the mic, Adam? You have to hit the button. Thank you.
1, 2,
Perfect.
1, 2. My name is Adam Gabser. My husband, James Campbell, and I have been running this project for probably about 15 years now. It's really a fun, family-friendly event where it's part of a larger event statewide. We run the San Rafael brick break or riff raff or whatever you call that wall. And we're asking for your support in getting the word out, invite any kind of school groups, anyone really. It's really very fun. And I think it's extremely educational for kids to see how much garbage gets thrown into or ends up in the bay. And there they are pulling stuff out. And I think it just really builds that kind of idea that we need to take care of our coast. We've had tiny little kids, hopefully with their parent, so that they have some sort of safe ability to wander along the rocks. They can get a little bit slippery, but we have them go down to the water's edge and spread all the way around San Rafael Avenue, all the way out towards Tiburon Boulevard. And we pull garbage out, we collect it, we stack it along the curb where we have DPW has worked with Mill Valley Refuse to come pick it up that Monday.
When is it?
Oh, that's a good important. Saturday, September 21. We start at 9 a.m. We say till 11. We usually finish up around 10:30 or so. People get tired and had enough. So yeah. Anything else? Any questions?
Do you keep any interesting items that come out?
No, but we log everything.
Okay.
We sometimes take cool pictures. Sometimes the ARC sends someone out to take pictures. We try to do a little, what's the coolest thing you pulled out,
Yeah.
especially for the little kids to kind of show it off and stuff. But no, I don't keep the garbage.
Okay. Well, there could be treasures, and I'm also thinking.
I know where I can drop them though, right up.
Yeah,
I drone right there. Yeah.
We'll talk.
Okay.
But I'm almost imagining like a little box somewhere where it's like, this is what we pulled out
That'd
last
be
year, and
cool.
you can find, maybe there's like a shark tooth, obviously not, but something cool. I could see kids being interested in that, so that might be fun
Yeah.
to think about.
Syringes probably wouldn't want to
No,
end up. in there,
hopefully
but
not. But
we do
I think
see
it's
some of
interesting,
those.
and
Yeah.
I think I appreciate you coming to share it. Does anyone have any
Absolutely.
questions or suggestions? And we will work to get the word out.
Excellent.
Okay.
I think
Thanks very much.
to just
we'll-
chime in on, sorry, before you go, I think you do provide gloves, right? Safety.
Yeah, so we
equipment.
get a whole bunch of supplies from the Parks Department, I believe, Rangers, over at the Bay Model. So I go there, pick up all the goods. They give really flimsy little gloves, so we do encourage people to bring gloves. Sometimes we ask them to bring the 5-gallon jugs to put stuff in, sturdy shoes. It can be chilly out there in the morning.
Mhm.
Anything else? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thanks.
Is it possible to get into the breeze? Great. Let me know if you need my verbiage. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
I want to see if there's any comments or questions from the room for Adam. Yes,
Hi, I'm Kathy Zuber with Painted Bins.
Kathy, could you come to the mic? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So before, I won't give my whole Painted Bin spiel, but one thing I was thinking about, if there are any city sandwich boards, some of the posters come in, Save Our Oceans and things, and it'd be really cool to put a sandwich board down there, or a couple of them, with some of the kids' posters. We're just starting to create the art in poster form, but we have it already, so if that's of interest. No, for your, well, ours, it goes on the bins, but we've got a lot of art. We could go back through and find which ones say save the ocean. And if you have, I don't know if you have sandwich boards.
I'm a realtor, so.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm happy to get, share some of this with you.
I love the idea. The Rangers do have some posters that I can get from them, and then I'll just put put it on my apron. But I think it's smart because then it'll be what's going on. They can see what's going on.
Yeah, and a lot of these kids make posters about saving our ocean or
Yeah,
keep
if
the
you
oceans
have one,
clean.
if you have something you want
Yeah,
to say,
I'll
yeah,
follow
please
up with you.
Great. Okay.
Sorry for jumping.
Do you have, maybe you can get contact information from each other. I love the trash synergy.
Yeah.
Are there any comments from the online?
No, they are
team?
not.
Okay. Well, thank you, Adam, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Okay. Next item is painted bins.
Hi, thank you for having me today. I'm Kathy Huber, the founder of Painted Bins, and we empower youth to become environmental stewards by providing education programs that incorporate visual arts, public speaking, and online content to inspire climate action. So our initial focus is on waste diversion, waste reduction, and as you know, we have 2 tri-sort bins in Belvedere Community Park. Every year we work with the schools to create new art. This year we had 71 students between Bel Air Elementary and Del Mar Middle that created 43 posters. So what we do also is once the art is created, we have an art show that was in early June at the library, and we had all the 70 posters on display. We probably had 70 or 80 people come through, and a couple of students that spoke and shared their thoughts about why we should take care of the earth. So I'm excited to be here today to show you the results of those that art show and what the independent jury selected for the posters. We randomly assign them to the bins. So you'll see what was assigned for Belvedere. I'll pass these around. 4 of them were created by the Bel Air students and 2 by Del Mar. I can't remember last year when I showed these. I think we talked about this, but this year we have asked, you need me to stand here before I plug. We asked parents to approve letting their child's name be on the poster. So every poster has the art. The children give the poster a name. And then when we have the approval to use the parent name, we use the child's name, we use the first name, first initial. And there's also the grade and the school on here. So I'll just pass these around. And we plan on leaving these with Tony, and he'll have his crew change out the art sometime in the next couple of weeks as well. The kids are very creative, and I may have shared this before, but one of the things we do hear from the schools and the parents is how our program really not only shares environmental education, but children learn critical thinking skills, collaboration skills. And we are trying to move forward with a teaching artist in the schools in which we would be in control of sharing the arts, the environmental and arts education. So those are the 6 posters that'll be going up. Are there any questions I can
Well,
answer?
congratulations to the students who were selected. I know my daughter, who's 4 years old, loves seeing the art next to the trash cans. So I'm excited to see those be installed. So thank you so much for the update.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Anyone in the room have questions? Okay, and then anyone online have any questions?
No one online.
Okay, well, thank you so much. This is really
Thank you.
exciting. I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having
All right, let's move on to item 5, discussion on lanes. There are 2 sub-bullets here. First is update on lane projects and repairs. Tony, would you mind taking that section?
Yeah, absolutely. As you may be aware, Park Lane is finally built. And I have a couple of pictures that I can share. As soon as I am able to, I will share them.
Looks great.
We're good. All right. Okay, so that was the previous Park Lane that we all know and love. And that was in the wood, and the posts were in poor condition. And there had been some work done to organize a land swap, which would allow for a bench and a seating area, platform and seating area next to the stairs, so that there would be separate flights of stairs with landings instead of a straight run, and a little view of the Golden Gate Bridge. Couple of pictures of the work taking place. That was after the demo. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of the concrete pour. You can see those pieces of rebar sticking out at the top there. Those go down fairly deep. Is it 20 feet?
Yeah,
18 to 20 feet deep. View from above. And a little bit later on, that's before they put the final forms in, and as it looks now. And so from the bottom, that's your view as you go up the stairs. There is some work left to do. Landscaping will be going in. The landscaping is very basic, so that it can be maintained more or less the same way that other lanes are maintained, which is there are two main events every year with weed whacking and tree trimming and so on that goes on. There's going to be some probably some rocks installed on those slopes, and some seed with a native grasses mix going in, and a couple of shrubs as well. So that is that's Park Lane, and we can move on to the next one, next lane that is. But also the next item on the agenda, unless there are questions.
I have some questions. First of all, congratulations. This is awesome. I think I went on it yesterday and it's really great, and the bench is there. This is more of a potential suggestion maybe for a future topic, but I'm curious, Tony, what you have learned or the city has learned in terms of how to do these lane projects. Sometimes when it comes up in terms of previous projects, I'm thinking of Golden Gate, and sometimes we get comments being like, Golden Gate went over budget. And now we have another project which was successful where we've made a nice improvement. And I'm wondering if we're getting smarter about this, we're learning some things. So I'm wondering if there are any sort of like conclusions or takeaways you might have, if you could either share now or maybe next time, because if new lane projects do come up, I want to make sure that we're improving our ability, whether it's fundraising or collaboration, and what your takeaways might be.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we'll be able to go in with our eyes a little more open than previously. You know, every site is different, especially the slope. That's what makes the biggest difference with lanes. This particular site also had a lot of utilities running through it, and a lot of lanes actually do. This one was maybe, I mean, there are probably other lanes with similar trenches, and I mean, in this case, electric, gas, water, sewer, and drain pipe were all through there. So there was a lot of engineering work that had to happen. The other thing that really struck home to me is how tricky curves are. Just in practice, on paper, they look great, and I think they look great, you know, in real life too. But again, on a slope, trying to work out the radius that's shown on paper on the ground can be very difficult when it comes to kind of stretching the wood at the right angles. You know, it sort of has to always be fitted to the land, really. But it sure took a lot longer than anticipated with this job. So I think it's worth asking if that's something that we want to tackle every time, you know. So design, I guess, is also relevant. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Couple other items. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to sit down there, but I did sit down at the bench And I know there was some work with the folks who are building across the street to sort of adjust the height. My observation was that it looks like there's a shrub or something to the left that I'm wondering if it's, under consideration for perhaps trimming that back or removing that smaller shrub. It's sort of right as you go up to the right. I think that's on city-owned property. And I'm cognizant of the fact that I think as they build that home, what we currently see from the bench, I think is going to be reduced anyway. So I have a photo. And I don't know if in your slides you have a photo from the bench view, but there's a small tree to the left. I'm curious if that could be taken into consideration, if you might be able to report back on that, Tony.
We absolutely could. I think it has been noted to us before. I think maybe Jane mentioned it. Yeah, I mean, basically it's if it's the acacia tree that I'm thinking of, it's
It's here.
on the left-hand side, yeah, right.
Do that one.
Yes, it is the one. And I don't know if you can see my cursor, but that's actually this tree over here. It's that tree grows at an awkward angle, so it's not in the best condition. But we do, obviously have processes for removing trees, and it's something we can definitely look at. There is some other tree trimming that needs to happen there too, actually, because when you sit on the bench, we have removed a couple of branches, but clearly more needs to come out, and it will come out. But we could probably look at that other tree at the same time. One thing to add, actually, that I forgot to mention is a trash can. We had planned to put a trash can at the bottom, and so that still needs to go in. That's another thing, along with the landscape and the painting, because it's not black. That's something that the maintenance team is going to do. Something that was taken out of the scope of the project. But so there are a few items.
Is that painting that railing or painting the?
Yes.
Great.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Painting so that it matches the railing on the rest of the stairs.
Are there any questions for Tony on item 5A? In the committee. Okay. Anyone yes. Please state your name when you come forward. Oh, I think it might have turned off.
Hi, I'm Linda Vine. I want to congratulate you. I can remember when this was first started. Actually, Robert was in your position when this all started with the land swap and the thing. And I kept asking Robert, when is this going to happen? When is it going to happen? So I'm very excited about it. And I walked up as well. And I second all the motions about getting rid of that tree and trimming the others so that we can have that lovely view. And I just was wondering if there was any plan for anything to kind of make it clear that that's a bench. That was the other thing that kind of occurred to me is like it was, I mean, I know that was the intention, and maybe people will just gravitate to that and figure it out. But it's not inviting like a bench. I kind of thought it was going to be a bench. So anyway, that's just a thought. But overall, I love it.
Do you have any suggestions for what might make it more inviting?
When it was poured, it would have been nice if there was a lip that came out as opposed to it just being like that so that it looked like a bench. I mean, I know you don't want to maintain something, adding some material. I don't know. That's just the thing that. Like a back? No, like more of the seat. Oh. It's like just a curb. So whereas you can think to sit on it, it doesn't say this is a bench.
Yeah, I also wonder, first of all, I agree. I think the style is a little bit more brutalist than I might have expected. And one of my other comments might have been, and I mentioned this previously, Tony, in San Francisco, when a lot of the staircases have mosaic tiles on the vertical portions, and I wonder as we, depending on budget, but it might be an opportunity for some stylistic refinements over time. But
Anyway.
Even if it's not a mechanical change, I wonder if it's possible to announce that this is now available for people to sit maybe in the breeze or something, and we can do some sort of promotion to get people to sit down and enjoy the view. So I think that'd be really nice. Is that possible, Jane? Okay.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda.
all of these all of these things can happen for sure. This is, this is a very, very basic design. And anything, anything that, ideas can be added for sure. They're all obviously public property. So this would be the committee to work through. But I think, from a staff level, I think we are open to ideas. And, wherever possible, we'd love to be able to implement great ideas.
I think given my comment and Linda's comment, I'd like to make a motion for Tony to explore removing that acacia tree and replacing it, during the rest of the landscaping effort.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of that motion? Aye. Okay, great. Perfect. Any comments from Zoom on this item?
No comments on Zoom on this item.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, with that, I'll move to item 5B, the Lane Subcommittee update. Committee member Marika is not here today, and I will provide the update as the other committee member. She and I have been working on indexing the various lanes. I think we gave a mini update in our last meeting. At this point, we have completed our initial index of all the lanes. We've been working on refining the specific information, and we're putting together a report that will be first made available to Tony, and then we're very excited to share it with the rest of the committee, looking at various amenities like benches and things, the conditions of the signs, conditions of the railings, opportunities for continued lane improvements. So I'm really excited to share that soon, but mainly in this update, wanted to let folks know that this is available. And I do think there's an item later, which might be around our priorities. It's our hope that we can share this in advance of perhaps our next meeting or during our next meeting, so that it might be able to inform some of the priorities, whether it's from that fixed lanes budget that we now have, or maybe whatever our priority might be for 2026. So beyond that, I don't have too much to share at this point.
If I could chime in before you ask if there are any questions. Marika shared the draft survey with me, and it's really great what you guys have put together, and I think it's definitely going to be very useful, and we are going to be using it, right away, really, to start looking at just maintenance and modifications and repairs, upgrades that can be done, because we have a new budget this year. So we'd like to start using it.
Great. Well, I just want to commend Marika. She's done the vast majority of the work, sort of documenting all this, but also going up and down all the lanes. So if you're here, I just want to say thank you, Marika, if you're listening right now, or if you ever are. So great. Comments or questions from the committee? No. Okay. Anyone in the room who would like to comment on this item? No. Anyone on Zoom?
No comments on Zoom.
Okay. Would love to move to item 6, discussion on community park. Item A is playground repairs and modification requests. Would you mind taking that?
Thank you,
Tony?
Chair. Yeah, and I'm going to hand over to our associate engineer, Chris Barry, who can give us an update on some of the topics and questions that had come up a couple of months ago on the playground.
So we have a couple of topics. The first one will be the tripping hazards to do with the mounds. So last couple of meetings ago, we had talked about the tripping hazards on the mounds, and we had seeked a quote to replace all the mounds in the playground. Now we're seeking just to replace those ones that are kind of at the border of the two playground areas, because they're transitional. The current coloring, the tan coloring, kind of blends in with the tan bark. So it's more of a tripping hazard. So that's what we see. So right now we're revising that estimate. It was originally at about 14,000. We hope to bring it down to about 7 to 10. A lot of those costs are static, the mobilization and then labor costs. So the unit pricing, even if we lower the square footage, the unit pricing kind of goes up. So we're still waiting on that. It should be coming in before September. So once we get that in, looking to, get the contract finalized, construction to go into these repairs, probably mid to late September. So have it completed by, hopefully by the end of the September or into October.
And this would be flattening them out effectively.
Yeah, so it'd be flattening them out, and then it would be kind of, just kind of making it blend in with the existing. You have to kind of flatten them out, but maybe put a design or just the same coloring, just kind of find a way to kind of make it seamless. It seemed like there was no cutout to begin with,
Okay.
but yeah, it'll flatten them out. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's that one. And then the other concern was the shade coverage. So I looked into that one. I found the shade study that was performed during 2000, 2001, before the renovation of the playground during the design process. So they had an actual.
2021. Is that right?
2021. So I found that, and they have, so it's kind of seen that just based on the sun, that and to make the design of the new coverage of the new playground, that was the adequate design. It covered from about 9 to 3 to 4 that provided shade in that area. And then also it was, so in order to expand the shade area, you'd have to redesign or re-engineer the existing posts because they're to withstand additional lateral load. And then also based on the clearance zones that are required for parks, you need 6-foot horizontal clearance from any structure and then 7-foot vertical clearance from the top of the playground structures. So that would push any kind of railings or mast posts outside of the playground area. There's really no room between the areas, especially with the walkway. You need ADA accessibility. So from a budgetary point of view, it's really not feasible, just based on the engineering, design, and then the safety constraints of the clearances.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that report. I have a couple of questions. I had asked Tony about a few other repair items, but I wanted to see if the committee had any follow-ups or questions.
I just had one. Can you, with the mounds, are they all being addressed or just, it was unclear?
Just the clump of mounds that are on the tan
Okay.
coloring, kind of at where the two playgrounds meet.
Yeah.
That area. So the ones that are blue and kind of more resemble the waves around the boathouse area, those will be left in place.
I think these are the worst offenders, the ones you're targeting.
Yeah, that's
so,
why we're doing the
yeah,
highest risk.
Yeah. Great.
And I can just chime in that we looked at a couple of other possibilities. One that Jane Cooper had asked about is that would it be possible to paint them to make them more visible? There is a paint that you can use, but apparently it's very quickly becomes it peels and needs to be repainted fairly regularly. So the product is a pour in place. It's called PIP matting. And usually designs and colors and so on are kind of poured in. Painting is unfortunately not easy. And then just the shade structures at first glance, I mean, it seems like, surely something can be done out there to improve the shade, but Chris's digging found that quite a lot of study went into trying to create shade structures, and this really was quite carefully considered. So what we have out there was kind of the best bang for the buck at the time, and any modifications, there aren't really any low-hanging fruit as far as the shade goes. So yeah, that's kind of why we are where we are.
Great. Well, thank you for looking into both of those things. I think the mound reduction will be much appreciated. Tony, I had reached out to you about other repair items, including the men's bathroom urinal just being generally gross and not working.
Yeah, I can tell you that that's been replaced. Yeah, and
It has been.
yes, yeah,
Great.
yeah. So
Okay.
there's a new one in there. Yeah, and
The bathrooms are scary, I would say too. Like there's like spiders and things
Oh,
like that.
yeah, right. So, yep, a deep clean was done as well. So,
Awesome.
so we had
Yay.
the janitor last weekend scheduled a deep clean, and we'll we'll make sure to set that up more regularly. I do think though that there is potential for a project, a capital improvement project for those bathrooms. I don't know how many years it's been since. It doesn't look like anything's been done since they were built, for sure. And you know, concrete absorbs material, so right, there's a lot of bare concrete in there. And yeah, there definitely there's room for improvement.
Well, I really appreciate that. And I think hopefully the community will recognize these improvements and, you know, I think the care that's being given to the playground, I know it's used so heavily every day. Great. Yes.
Tony, in thinking about the shade, I think what was discussed before was over the toddler swings area. And is there, I know there's a tree outside the fence. If that tree or some tree, maybe another tree could grow a little higher, would that help to provide any shade in a more natural way and not worry about a structure, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the good things that trees do. So yeah, I guess the question is how long it would take to get there, and you know, I guess it can't hurt for us to look at planting a tree there.
I don't know if that's something anybody wants to discuss, but you know, it's probably our best option.
Yeah. Are there any motions to explore the feasibility of that?
I'll motion to explore a tree shading feasibility at the park.
Great.
Chris was just mentioned to me that he had noticed that they have started those the elms along the street over there are getting big enough now that they do later this time of day, by the sounds of it, actually cast some shade over the playground. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah,
So
they're
they are
getting
growing
there.
and will grow, continue to grow.
Yes. I think those trees are about 20 years old, so they're not the
They're not
fastest growing
fast
trees,
growing.
clearly.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, yeah, it's something we can definitely consider.
Just a thought.
Got it. Committee member Sherm had motioned to explore putting a tree there, or at least coming back, I think, in terms of feasibility of that. Are there any seconds to that motion?
Is this you looking into this, or is this a Tony directive?
I
Sorry.
believe this is a Tony request.
Yes, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John? Aye. Okay. So yeah, it'd be great to look into that. I think something in view of shade in that area, I think it'd be nice to have an answer on or a suggestion, and this feels like a great one to look into.
Did we, sorry, I don't want to go on too many tangents, but did we abandon the tree replacement at the bottom of the accessible ramp? Has that been indefinitely postponed?
Yes, by virtue of the fact that nothing has gone in there. Yeah, but that is yeah, that's a tree that was removed, and you know, certainly if we wanted to replace it in kind, yeah, this could be a good location for it.
Cool. Maybe we can put that in item 11 and see if we want to put that on a future agenda to round the corner on that. Cool. I'll open it up to the room if there's any comments on 6A and Zoom.
We do have a comment on Zoom.
Great.
Maureen Johnson, I'll allow her to talk. Go ahead, Maureen.
Surprise, I'm using Maureen's computer. This is Johnson. Just a comment on thinking of my legal career and liability. I would advise the city to get some written documentation on this tripping issue in the park because deciding to do the highest at risk is not a position that the city really wants to take if something were to happen where someone accused the situation as a result of not fixing all of what should have been fixed. So I'm just suggesting that whatever the final decision is on this, that the city protect itself by getting some qualified person to put in writing the recommendation that the committee is concluding. Otherwise, the city is leaving itself open. And the difference between when this started, what I heard was 10,000 versus 14,000 is so minor compared to the exposure to the city. You might want to consider that. I have no opinion as to what should be done. I'm just making a suggestion the city should have in writing something to protect themselves. Thank you.
To clarify that, Tony or Chris, was that the 10,000 for the 3 planned removal? I mean, was the 14,000 the 3 planned removal, or did that include all bumps everywhere?
That was for all the mountains.
All the mountains?
Yes.
Oh,
We still haven't got the revised proposal. That's just kind of at my estimate based on sort of around 7 to 10.
I think I'd also like to clarify what I interpret to be the committee's opinion from last time we discussed it. We would advise that all mounds be removed. And I think we were looking forward to some progress in that direction, but I'm seeing some heads nod potentially. I think we'd like them all removed, if possible.
Comment that the design was quite carefully vetted.
Yeah.
And the playground is inspected every year by a certified playground inspector
Great.
for hazards, including trip hazards. So yeah, as far as the existing playground goes, yeah, it's something we can discuss offline for sure. But yeah,
Wayne, do you want to comment?
and certainly look deeper into this.
I'm going to recommend now, based on the comment and the public record, that maybe drop this into a subcommittee, something that can look at this and just take care of that issue.
I think that's a great call. So is there a motion to form a subcommittee? And we would also need to appoint someone to be on the subcommittee, 1 or 2 people. So maybe we'll start with a motion to form a subcommittee to look into this and follow up with the city.
I'll motion to create a subcommittee.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
It'd be great if someone were to volunteer to look into this. John?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
I've been volunteered.
And John and Wayne. Okay. John Wayne. That's a good name.
Okay. I
Okay.
have to watch the order.
Yes. So it sounds like we have 2 very grateful for your help here, and we'll work with Tony and the city to look into this. And maybe by next meeting, we can have more of a clear plan, maybe respond to some of this feedback.
Tony, is the next step to email you to get time?
Yeah, and I'm actually going to be out of town for about 3 weeks. So absolutely email me, and I will. We'll loop Chris in right away, and the ball can get rolling with Chris while I'm out. Yep.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from Zoom?
There are no further comments on Zoom.
Great. Let's move on to 6B, new signage installation.
The fairly quick update, really, but there have been requests for better signage at the park and playground. If you walk around there right now, there are lots of signs. Park closes at sunset. A long list of things for the playground. And there are other rules relevant to the park and the playground and the use of the park that don't seem to be being communicated. There have been ideas thrown around. The most practical, I think, of which is to build a new signboard at the entrance to the playground. And I will share a picture of an existing signboard that a lot of people aren't even aware exists. Give me 1 second. All right, getting there. Switching between sharing and not sharing. Okay, I'm just gonna talk. So you'd probably be familiar with it if I showed you a picture. It's a regular sort of a notice board, I guess you could say. It's a wooden structure with a little roof over it and 2 glass doors that you can open. I think the one over here has a door that kind of opens out. But it faces the basketball court right now. It's kind of surrounded by some shrubbery. So it's clearly not really getting messages across. So it would be nice to have a different one. We've approached the same company, woodworking company that built the fence, the wooden fence around the playground, and asked them for a quote to be able to build a similar style next to the other entrance. And that would be able to hold large poster size boards that could be used for signage. And I know that Linda Bine here and Jane Cooper have also been exploring the types of messages that can be used. And that, you know, a lot of the activities that are of concern happen on the weekends, so there's no staff here. So signage seems to be one way to consistently remind people of what's not allowed, and you know, things like bouncy houses, bounce houses, generators. You know, we obviously don't want to stop people from having events, you know, children's birthday parties and so on. We you know, it's a fun place to be, and we don't want to kind of rain on anyone's parade. But yeah, as far as you know, structures and liability really that comes from some of that stuff, that's the main thing that we're trying to avoid. So yeah, I am hoping that we can get that up in the next month or two, and we're happy to keep working with Jane and Linda Bine on the content of the messages and the signs.
Would there be one side might be like fixed static rules, and then the other side is upcoming fun events, or how are we thinking? Jane, do you have an update on what? Oh, we're open to that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think there would be space. I think the idea would be that it's just a more visible spot, and that fun things could be added to it as well.
Okay.
So it's not just, you know, what you're not allowed to do. It's you know, it's a reminder of that, but you know,
concerts in the park coming up, things like that. Very
yeah,
nice.
absolutely. Yeah.
I think that what Linda and I were walking on the old rail trail, I still call it the bike path, and what Tiburon did every, I don't know how many feet, you know, maybe football length or something. They have a sandwich board that talks all about the regulations. It includes dog, which we also face issues of that with dogs, and people disposing of, you know, doggy bags properly. And then, as Tony said, municipal code with the rules that are allowed or not allowed down there. I think projecting music is not allowed, as well as other items. So I like the idea of the new structure, but again, it's in one spot. And so maybe we'd want to look at these type of sandwich boards that can actually be moved around. So if we decide to go that way, you'd be able to put one, you know, down by where the kids play ball. And and then one out by the basketball if we wanted to. I just, my only question is, we have one that's in a stagnant place and nobody sees it, right? So, I mean, I think what you're saying is you're going to put it close to the playground where everybody is, and then will that be adequate? It, you know, it probably would.
It would certainly be an improvement, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. You know,
I'm
it is
just
quite
curious
tricky.
about the price, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, and that's you know, we definitely would want to make sure that, you know, I'm anticipating that it will be within our operating budget, that we could pay it from that. If not, you know, we maybe won't be able to have because you can buy them online and install them. You know, they're not as nice, but yeah.
Could you move the other one?
That could be done. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my thinking was that then we'd have two facing in different directions if we added one on the other side. But yeah, we could certainly. Well, that said, I think it's probably set in concrete,
Okay.
so it would be quite difficult to. I mean, not impossible, but yeah, you know, I think we'd want to look at the cost of a new one.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, but what I was going to say is that, you know, and I don't think there's a perfect solution. So sandwich boards are a great idea because there's also, you know, seasonal messaging. You know, no need to have these signs up in winter a lot of the time, but yeah, summer is when people are out. So yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Any comments from the committee on this item? No. Linda?
So I live right across from the park, so I see a lot of things that you guys don't. Where I think a great.
Is your mic on, Linda?
Yes, the
Okay.
green. Can you hear me? Where I think a great location for it would be is where the Coyote sign is right now, because people come to the picnic tables. They come, it's not for people in the playground, it's people who come to have parties. And so that's between the one picnic table that's right outside the playground, and they would see it. So if it's the things about what people generally do on the weekends that they're not allowed to do, or reminding people, you know, that there are no reservations, I mean, whatever those things are. That said, I think the sandwich boards for other things at the entrances make a lot of sense, because people would see those and those could change. But I think something that's permanent, that faces kitty corner, like the Coyote sign is right now, if you go look at it in that dirt, that's, I don't know if you can picture it. It's where the Coyote sign is now, which somebody collapsed and I put back up this morning.
A coyote.
I go through the park like all the time, several times a day. So, and you know, I love that people are using the park too. I agree 100%, but they don't know the rules, and they because a lot of the people who use our park don't even live here, which is fine too.
Well, I wonder if a lower stakes experiment could be starting with sandwich boards in one or two locations and seeing how that impacts that element of it. What I personally liked about the more permanent sign at the entrance was not only the sort of rules and regulations, but the opportunity for providing information. One of the things I think we talked about in the past was like, notice a problem, here's how you contact the city, 1, 2, 3. And I sort of love that, you know, positive element too, but you know, maybe Tony, you could explore movable type things to see where an impact is coming in and see how that goes as a start.
Yeah, I think a combination of both maybe is a good way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, with the sandwich boards, the good thing about that is you maybe start getting a sense of where they, in terms of the flow, the overall flow and aesthetics of the park, where, you know, good places for them to be, you know, and then explore possible permanent signs in those places.
Great.
Yeah.
Any comments from Zoom on this item?
There are no comments on Zoom on this
Okay.
item.
Great. I'll have to leave in 5 minutes. Let's see if we can do item 7.
Yeah.
John.
I'll go quickly. We had a really positive meeting with Mike Gaffrey from Tiburon's POSTC regarding various locations for a SUP and SUP launch, stand-up paddleboard. and collaboration between the two committees. There's no clear, obvious place. There's kind of drawbacks to many of the different, there's no clear, obvious location. There's drawbacks to many of the places. So between Marika and I, one of the requests we had for the committee is if we can set forth some priorities that we would want within a stand-up paddleboard launch. And then we can come back with a presentation on all the various locations and some of the kind of puts and takes that would result at those locations. The three elements that we came up with were, one, ease of parking and proximity to parking. For folks who are using a stand-up paddleboard launch, they would have a lot of gear, it needs to be unloaded, it needs to be carried. So we want to make sure that there's that access to wherever a location is. We recognize that the water has to be usable. So what does that mean? Not kind of shifting significantly in depth, not having significant swings to the tides or local regulations. Much of Richardson Bay is prohibited given the bird sanctuary. And then also looking at something that wouldn't create unnecessary complexity. So whether that's from an engineering or a cost perspective, there are a number of potential locations where the structure that might need to be built would be subject to a lot of harsh weather, harsh tides, harsh waves. So kind of looking at those things and prioritizing on those three elements.
Thank you. I appreciate the collaboration with Tiburon on this. It's great that we were able to do that. One thing that I noticed from, they had a meeting, their parks meeting, and they had a similar report. And they said, these are all the sites we looked at. Here's our sort of priority and ranking on them. I think it's great that you're suggesting that we might do something similar and have some sort of document that'd be like, we looked at this in 2025. Here are our conclusions. I'm optimistic about this in many ways. And I'm looking forward to, a report. And I think that's a great suggestion that we might be able to say, these are the sites we looked at. And, if you can come back and say, here's one or two where we think it might be feasible, I think that's something we could work with and discuss.
Perfect.
So I think that's a great suggestion. Anyone else have a comment on the committee? Okay. Anyone in the room have a comment on item 7? And anyone on Zoom?
No comments on that item on Zoom.
Okay, great. With that, I will unfortunately have to recuse myself or depart. Nick, if you could take over. Tony, there is an item about my chairmanship and Nick's vice chairmanship term expiration. If I can comment on that just for 1 second. I know that there's a 1-year restriction on folks' terms. I would be more than happy to serve again if that restriction weren't there, and I look forward to hopefully doing that if I'm so appointed in the future. But yeah, that's why I brought that up, because I think it's now been 1 year since my role here. So I know I'm doing this out of service, out of order, but I just wanted to, I know I won't be here for that section.
I'll quickly add while you are here that it's a discussion item, and maybe with you and Marika not being here, we should probably wait for the next meeting to take any action on a new chair, and vice. Yep.
All right. Thank you all.
Item number 8, the plaque with respect to the drinking fountain that was approved last meeting. Tony, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, absolutely. I learned that I'd made a mistake, really. I'd overlooked a detail of the donation of the drinking fountain that was discussed at the last meeting, which is that a plaque is almost a separate item to be considered by the committee, and this would be a drinking fountain with a plaque. So it's just this item is really to allow the committee to look at the details of this plaque and decide on whether to approve or not approve the installation of that with the drinking fountain that was already approved. So this slide here just shows the language in the policy manual that relates to this. Yeah, basically honorees. There are a couple of rules. So if there are people named on the plaque, they have to be present or past residents of the city. And the other thing is that the design itself needs to be looked at by this committee, and the wording, going a little bit out of order of the points there. But yeah, basically, that's basically it. The wording and the design, and then make sure that the honorees are not out of towners. And I seem to be having trouble with this program. It's not changing slides here. Oh. Bear with me. I've got to, I guess, figure out. I think it's probably that Zoom is not letting me change the screen from slide to slide for some reason, the way it's sharing. And we do need to look at the picture of the plaque.
If it is difficult to share, maybe we could just, if it's on your computer, you can just turn your computer around.
Yeah, well, let's see if we need to see. Yeah, I think as a last resort, we might have to do that, but let's try again. Okay, there we go. So this is just the review. Okay, it looks like we can change. Yep, there we go. Okay, great. All right. So this is just a review of the fountain that was described last week, and you can see where on this the possible locations for the plaque will be. So it's an exposed rock concrete drinking fountain, and the location is at Land Company Park. This is the proposed location. That's a very basic sketch, but shows approximately where it is proposed to be. And then this is the design. So approximately 6x4 inches. Material would be bronze, and the wording would be donated by the Beacons family. So very straightforward, and the possible places where that plaque would go are shown. Joan Beacons asked that the actual decision on where it should go be made once we have it in place, and so it's a little easier to kind of get a feel for where it might be more visible, and that's why there's multiple boxes on there. The ones at the bottom are possible pet fountain blocks, but up at the top are where the possible locations are. So that's basically it. Yeah, and it's really just an add-on from the drinking fountain donation that was discussed at the last meeting.
Tony, if I remember everything correctly, all of the conditions of the local rule will be satisfied?
Yes, so we can just go back to the first bullet points here. Yes, so the wording, the honorees, that's covered. The wording and the design basically are what can be discussed and decided on.
Any discussion from this board?
Sorry, to add to that, wording, design, and whether to have a plaque, because this is actually, plaques, there's potential for plaques to be, become commonplace. And so I think one of the ideas is for a committee to feel comfortable with a plaque being installed at a certain location, and on a certain structure. So yeah, that's also part of the decision. Yeah.
Any discussion online?
We do have a comment online. Should I allow them?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ken.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's blank in front of me with the consideration of the plaque. I'm just here to answer any questions that the committee might have. I don't know if Joan Beacons is also on or Sandy Donnell. But we had a meeting with Tony and Jeff Hadley. And he donated his time to be able to effectuate this donation to help this placement in the park. So we seem like we're going in the right direction. We're hoping to get on the September Planning Commission meeting because Joan's 95th birthday is 2 days later. And we'd like to just make the announcement. And so we'd ask if you could vote on that tonight and approve it so that we can get on the Planning Commission to consider your approval next month.
Thank you. We appreciate the comment. If there are no further comments, looking for a motion, and I think the motion would be both to have a plaque and in its current design with the flexibility for location on the water fountain.
Move as proposed.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
We will move on to new business now. Number 9, which I think, as we previewed, is committee chair and vice chair terms. Happy to open the floor for discussion, but I think this is just going to be a discussion element and no approvals will come during this meeting.
Yes, and I can quickly jump in and say that 1 year is really not a very long time for somebody to be chair when you only have 4 regular meetings a year. So it's something that we should definitely look at in the policy to be updated. And perhaps 2 years is a more a workable amount for somebody to be chair.
How do we go about that process, modifying?
Well, I think if it's something that the committee agreed on, it's something that I could discuss with the city manager, and he would probably discuss with the mayor and possibly other council members if he felt it was needed. But for something like this, I think if it's something that the committee wanted, I think it would be fairly straightforward to change the language in the policy and bring it to city council to approve.
I think it's only in the administrative policy manual, not the municipal code.
Correct. Yeah.
Which means that we can bring it to a meeting and it becomes the change right away. We don't have to have 2 readings like we would with municipal code. So it, depending if it seems like it's something that the committee is interested in, our next city council meeting is September 8th. The one after that is the second Monday in October. I don't know what date that is. But it could come to either of those. And the only issue we have here is if we decide to wait, then I don't know when the next meeting is here. I think it's November or something. And then it probably wouldn't come then to the city council until December, but it could come, seems to me it could come earlier.
I didn't mean to say that we couldn't make decisions. I was just noting that the new business mentioned discussion and we're missing 2 of the 5 members.
No, I know. And that's why I'm saying, I think Charlie gave us his indication and now it'd be nice to hear the rest. And I'm just adding in that if it's not a long process is what I'm trying to say.
I'm supportive of just eliminating some of the end language there on the tail. I mean, I think a 1-year term is great, but being elected to more than 1 consecutive term is pretty fair.
I agree with that.
So, yeah, I agree. The question is just how to get it, who drafts it. So Tony, you would take care of a draft that leaves it as a 1-year term that can be renewed.
I think that would be a great way to go. Yeah, I think I could take a stab at that language and yeah, if that's the intention, I don't think I even need to. I mean, if you're all in agreement that that's a way to go, then yeah, I could certainly move that forward to go to city council.
And just to be specific, my proposal would be to eliminate the entirety of the last line, the 4th line there.
4th line being
provided that no two such terms may be consecutive.
And yeah, sorry, there's a full stop, a period missing from the end of that consecutive, but yeah.
So yeah, you
That's,
delete that, put the period after one term of office.
Yep.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
So just so that I understand, so are you saying that the two terms are not needed, that it could be any number of consecutive terms or something else?
I mean, that is the question. You put a term limit on it saying that 2 maximum, 3 maximum, or 3 consecutive maximum, 2 consecutive maximum. I don't know that people are beating down the door to hold this position, but that's the question, whether there's a cap or not.
Do you know, Tony, it in the planning commission, is there a term limit there for chair? I don't remember.
I can't recall. I don't
Okay.
recall. I don't think so though, because I think
I can't
yeah.
remember.
yeah.
I mean,
think-
I'm wondering if it's worth in the APM just to make it that
Consi-
first sentence and then say public members may serve for more than one term of office, period. I don't know. I mean, maybe unless, I'm just throwing it out there, but I don't have a view one way or the other.
Yeah, my opinion is that we could eliminate the 4th line there, put a period there for a full stop. I don't think, I mean, there's also like your membership on the committee in general. Will come to an end at some point. You know, you need to be elected and appointed in that manner. So de facto, there kind of is a term limit for chair position. But if people want to be more specific, I'm happy to it. I'm always in favor of keeping it as simple as possible.
Does anybody have any history of why this was put in place? I mean, it is a pretty striking provision.
I couldn't tell you. Yeah, it's this was a new charter, so this I think was there was probably a template that was used, and I think before there were more regular meetings that the committee had, and there were also more committee members. But I think this was maybe an oversight that with the reduction in the number of meetings, the 1 year really is not a very long time to be chair.
But I'm supportive of just striking that 4th line, moving the period to after office.
Yeah, I'd be supportive of keeping it simple, striking the 4th line.
I don't know what formality you need right now. It sounds like we already have a process for doing that, but it sounds like there's unanimity across the.
I don't think you need to vote.
Okay.
You don't need
No, yeah, I mean, I think that's,
Perfect.
yeah, as if we're all on the same page with it.
Any
then-
comment from online? Since we're in an empty room, I want to ask for a comment from them.
We do have a comment online. One moment. Go ahead, Ken.
It's kind of interesting. Historically, there was a lot of controversy on the committee for various reasons. And I think somebody made a attempt to limit, and then they changed the number on the committee, et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't need to be going into in detail. Just my past experience with being on the city council for 8 years and mayor for 2 years and other committees, I think that the objective here is, however, this is very poorly worded, but the objective should be to allow some flexibility, make it as simple as possible, but not to have someone occupy a chair position for, long periods of time, because members don't want to challenge the chair. Somebody's been chair for 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is, and the other members of the committee say, well, we don't want to ask them to leave, but, so I think the objective here is to have simplicity, some flexibility, but there should be some max that the committee members should consider, in my opinion. And I think Jane has a lot of experience with not only the city, but other positions in the community. She might want to chime in on that. And I think just the wording, the committee shall elect public members. Who are public members? Does that mean committee public members? I mean, it's just the wording is very poor, but now I'll shut up. Thank you.
And I'll also chime in that, city council rotates the mayorship. And I think part of the idea is that everybody takes a turn and serves in that role for a certain period of time. And perhaps an unlimited term would prevent that from happening.
So the mayor role is more brutal than,
And 12 meetings a year, not
Yeah.
4.
so
So
if
you'd
you,
have to go 3 years as a chair to be the same. So it's
you get a
not
br-
worth equating
and
it.
you get a breather between meetings. So, I mean, if that's the case, maybe what John's saying is that you put in a maximum term limit. How long should somebody be there? 2 years, 3 years? That's easy enough to write into.
This is something I could maybe discuss with the city manager and see if there is some other history around this and come back at the next meeting and we can discuss it further.
Appreciate it, Tony. Yeah.
Yep. All right, you're welcome.
Going into number 10, discussion on the 2026 priorities report.
This is really it's almost a placeholder really and a reminder that in January, either January or February, the Parks Committee provides a priorities report to City Council, and that there should be enough time beforehand to take a look at the draft and discuss the report. And it's a good time to actually mention the remaining meetings in the year. I think there's only one more regular meeting planned. This meeting, the September meeting was canceled, as you know, and this meeting is happening now. But we did miss a meeting earlier in the year. So perhaps there's an opportunity for, instead of just one last meeting this year in December, to have 2 meetings to allow for a draft to be aired and discussed, and then a final version of the report before January.
We had a special meeting last year to review the draft, and I think it's just helpful, put in the record. I found that helpful to understand what we were putting forth to city council. So I'd very much be supportive of doing that again.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good. I don't have it in front of me. Actually, I could look it up now, but the December meeting, I'll find that date now. And do you think the committee would prefer to have a meeting? I guess the more natural time would be somewhere between now and December, and then have the December to be the final meeting to look at that report, the final report, I guess. So yeah, if everybody agrees, then I can start sending out emails to set up maybe in October or November a meeting for the committee.
I think that makes sense. I think it was beneficial last year and we'd see similar benefits.
Great, will do.
Any comment from the Zooms?
Comment on Zoom.
Wonderful. Moving along to future items. Number 11. Discuss suggestions of possible items to be placed on the agenda for upcoming meetings. I will open the floor.
Well, I think we do, sort of have some follow-ups from this meeting actually, that we could bring back. Certainly the priorities report, and some updates possibly on the playground, and so I guess some of that stuff writes itself in a way. But yeah, if anybody in the public or in the committee has any requests, really, this kind of the spot for it.
I think we can plan to talk about the paddleboard launch at the next meeting.
Right.
again.
Okay. Yep.
Wonderful. I'll move to open forum for anyone on Zoom or present.
I see no one on the open forum with Zoom.
Thus, our last item here is adjournment. If there's a motion to adjourn,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.